Welcome to Whachacha's Tabletop World, a channel devoted to the love of board gaming. My name is Sweetness Whachacha, and today, this is my overview and brief thoughts for diced veggies. Okay, diced vegetables is a pretty light game, kind of in that fillerish range, and it's a competitive game. So let's go down and take a look at how it plays. Okay, so to start with, you're going to get one of these chef's tokens. You're going to get 2 recipes, and you're going to get a hype card face down. So let's turn this up so we can see though. The recipes have a name, so this is carrot tomato soup, a little picture of it, the points that it's going to be worth that you're going to score at the end of the game, and then what the recipe calls for. So this would be 2 carrots and a tomato, so you would need, 2 carrots and a tomato in order to score that. These hype cards have different kind of parameters. You must discard an unplayed hype card before cooking. So if you had 2 of these, you'd have to discard one, and then you could score this at the end of the game. And there are all kinds of different stuff. Numbers must add up to 13 exactly. So your dice would have to add up to 13 to score that one. So there's all these different ones. You must have cut only 1 die this turn. Numbers must include all 6s. So there's all sorts of different things in the hype cards. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to deal out 3 face-up recipes into the tableau here, and then you're going to take all of the dice and just drop them into this frame, and you're going to create a single layer of dice. Okay, like so, and then you're going to drag it so that everything kind of comes to one corner, lift this up, and you're ready to play. On a player's turn, you're going to take a number of actions. And the first one you're going to do is you're going to take this really awesome little meat cleaver, very satisfying, and you're going to shave off some dice. So let's say we wanted to do this. Let's cut this down. And you're going to do this without moving the dice faces. You're not going to change the die faces. You can't kind of do this and cut these 2 out, say. You have to be completely flat. And you also can't take more than 10. So I couldn't do like this. I couldn't have taken this because that would add up to 11. And also you can't cut them in a way like that would break. Like I couldn't do this because it would leave a die, or we'd leave this in 2 pieces. So those are just the only rules there. So then these would come into my personal tableau here. And then you're going to go to the cooking phase. Okay, so you can choose to cook or not to cook. You don't have to. So I have all the ingredients I need to cook this dish right here. If you see, I have the carrot, the mushroom, the onion, and the tomato. I don't have to cook it if I don't want to, if I'm saving up for maybe a larger type of recipe. The numbers don't really matter unless you have like something like this, that says like all numbers must be odd. Okay, well, it doesn't matter anyway. I can't use that anyhow. So in the cooking phase, let's say I decided to do this. You put these back, and you would put this in your score pile. And that's going to be face up for all the other players to see. Now, you can also use your chef token to change either a value when you're going to cook, or you can change the type of die. So like I could get rid of this and get a 2 of a tomato if I wanted to, or I could just change the value of any die I want to as well. And then you would spend that. There was a way to get it back, but you would lose that for now. After that phase, you will decide to draw either another hype card or a recipe from the face-up selection here, or the top face-down one. Then you're going to make sure you have 2 or less of each kind of card, so you can't have more than that. And you have to have 8 or less dice. So you'd have to discard down to 2 of each and 8 or less dice. That will end your turn. You will go to the next player's turn. They'll go through those same steps in order. Whoever reaches the 6 recipes completed first, then each of you is going to take a final turn. Then you're going to go to end game scoring. Okay, so before you tally up your cards, you will get one final chance to cook anything. So here we can see, I've got the ingredients to cook that, so I could add that to my pile here. And then I would just tally this up, 6, 6, 8, 5, and 4, and that would be my final score. The player with the highest score will win the game. One other thing to note on your turn is if you notice you were out of any single vegetable, like in this case we're out of a mushroom, you can decide to restock. You don't have to, but you can decide to do so. If you do, that just means you take everything and put it back into this and roll up again. When you restock, every player gets back their chef's token. If you haven't spent it, okay, too bad. And so this encourages you to kind of spend your token a little more freely. There is a solo mode as well, and the solo mode is very similar. The only changes is you're going to try to get the most points you can. There's a different graduated thing here, so 0 to 30, 31 to 40, etc., up to 81. And so you're just trying to get the best level that you can. You also will be milling away dice on every turn. You're going to be taking 5 dice away, rolling some dice. So this is a little upkeep, an additional upkeep step, and you're forced to sort of restock at any point. Anytime you get through 3 restocks, the game will end immediately. Okay, so what do I think of the game? All right, so let's take a look at the theme and components, as I like to do always at first. Number one, the components are good. In this little, it's kind of cool that they give you this little frame. Allows you to, keep the dice nice and tidy, which I like. The dice are good, chunky. They're pretty normal, actually. There's nothing really remarkable about them, but the coloring is good. I don't know if I'm not quite sure how colorblind people would find this. If it's easy or difficult for them, I'm not quite sure. There's no symbols on them, but yeah, the little cleaver is pretty cool. The art on the cards is fine. So it's a pretty inexpensive game. So for its weight, it's a nice little production. Now the theme, pretty simple theme. You're just chopping and cooking these vegetables. However, I think that this is an absolutely brilliant little way to design a game. It's so simple, but it makes so much sense. This could have been really any theme because you're just culling dice around. But I mean, the fact that you are using this cleaver, you feel like you're doing that. You're like, oh, I'm cutting vegetables. It's a very natural thing. It's a married, the theme and the mechanisms are married together in such a great way. And you make sense. Okay, I'm going to put the cleaver down and slide away the parts of the vegetables that I've cut. So that's a very nice, like to make things not that it's a difficult game to understand, but it's just very natural. I just think it's a very elegant little way to have designed a game. And, the choices in the game, let's talk about the choices. Not that many, really. You have the idea of like, hey, should I take, when to spend my chef's token, to get that little extra value? When, should I take the face down cards? Should I take down, one of the face up cards? Should I take some more hype cards? Because those can kind of be hit or miss. You could take the hype cards and maybe you'll do very well because you've already kind of got something like that going on. Or you'll take one and be like, oh, I'm never going to get, 3 6s or whatever on these particular recipes. That's a choice there. But the meat of the game, not really the meat of the game, I guess the veggies of the game, is the idea that you will, decide what you're going to cut. And they kind of made it, so that you can't do any kind of real jank by taking like a huge chunk out or anything like that. So you can really only get 2 to 3 dice almost always, maybe sometimes 4 if they're perfectly placed. But you're kind of just looking to fill in your recipes, and you've got a couple of them as long as you keep refilling them. So there's not a lot to it. So this is kind of like a nice little filler weight game. There is also a kids mode where you can kind of remove the hype cards and the chef's tokens and some of the things that are like little higher level strategy, I guess. But, so it is a fairly approachable game for a group. And because it's so quick, it's not really a party game, but I feel like you could play this pretty easily with a mixed group with some younger kids. Maybe not too young, but like, if you have like 7, 8-year-olds or whatever, and you've got some adults that really aren't gamers, this could be kind of a cute little game to bring out and play like a round or two, like a game or two as a filler type of a game. I'm always looking for games that are like approachable for non-gamers, and this is kind of a cute little game. Now, it's not anything earth-shaking. You're not going to be making any major decisions. It's just kind of a nice little different kind of a game. A lot of times, like the filler games are just these little card games and things like that. But it's kind of a cool little thing. It's well made. It's very cute. It's an approachable theme, and I think it's pretty approachable for most players. It's not going to light anybody, light the world on fire for anybody because it's not, the decisions you're making in the game aren't too exciting or too crazy. But yeah, it's a cute little game. The solo game is there. But it's fine. Like it plays well. It's easy to play, but it's not exactly, because the choices are so, centralized to just like, I need to get a certain amount of dice. Is it better to get these 3 colors of dice, or should I go to this, this for this recipe or that recipe? Not a huge amount of choice there, but that's kind of what makes it much more enjoyable, I think, for maybe a more mixed crowd with non-gamers and things, rather than maybe a solo game. I probably wouldn't pursue this just for solo play. But yeah, hopefully that helps you to decide whether or not this game is for you. But for now, I gotta roll.